Hello, everybody. Welcome to Chat with the Editor. My name is Maxwell, Assistant Editor of Social Media Agent, and I'm excited here today to be with Dr. Mahmoud Mossa Basha from the University of Alabama, Birmingham. I'm excited to have you here, Dr. Mossa Basha. Nice to meet you, and welcome to Chat with the Editor.
Thank you, Maxwell. Happy to be here. Happy to talk to you about my experiences with AJNR and my experiences in the field and during my career. Certainly looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you very much. So, can you tell us about yourself and your whole trajectory to neuroradiology, your background?
Sure. So I am a neuroradiologist, as you know. That's why I'm sitting here today. I started my career, grew up in Detroit, in the suburbs of Detroit, went to school in Michigan, and then spent a year doing research at the Joslin Diabetes Center in Boston. At that time, my trajectory was a decision as to whether I wanted to do a PhD versus an MD with a focus on research in my career. And during that time in Boston, I really realized that I had a passion for medicine. I enjoyed research a lot, but I also had a passion for patient care. And I saw the best pathway to meld both of those interests of the clinical aspect as well as the research aspect was pursuing a medical degree. So I
So,
applied to medical school and ended up going to medical school in Ohio and spent 4 years in the state of Ohio for that, and then went to residency at Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit. So back to my roots, back to where I grew up, lived very close to family, which was really nice.
thank you. So, can you tell us why neuroradiology specifically?
Yeah, so I certainly had another branch point in terms of decision making during residency, and I think my first passion during my training was musculoskeletal radiology. But once I did my neuro MR rotation and got to see all the intricacies of brain anatomy, all the learning that needed to be done, all the things that are still not understood and needed to be discovered, I fell in love. I think neuroradiology offers a lot in terms of known information, advanced imaging techniques, cutting edge technology, but also a lot that we still don't understand and still don't know, and a lot of areas for potential growth and advancement. And that's what really excited me about neuroradiology. And really, the techniques that are developed in neuroradiology get pushed to other subsections within radiology, and we develop them, we use them, we discover, awesome, cool technology, and then other sections like breast, like MSK, like body, then gain interest and start trying to utilize our cutting edge techniques for what they're trying to do. So really, we're the pioneers of radiology, is the way I like to see it.
That's amazing. That's great to hear. So let's talk about AGNR. So what's your role as an editor in AGNR? What do you do?
Yeah, so I'm a senior editor for the neurovascular section. So all the papers on stroke, on vascular disease, come to my team. And generally, our approach to how we do this is we really do divvy up the work, share the responsibility between myself and the associate editors. We have an excellent team, very smart people, and I think we deal with the volume that we get in an expert manner. And really proud of my team for the excellent work that they do.
All right, thank you very much. So do you find problems when reading papers? What kind of problems do you encounter when you're reviewing articles? Can you tell us something of that sort?
Yeah, so a couple key points is one is make sure to follow the guidelines and the structure that AJNR indicates, you should follow in terms of articles. And the structure of them and how to write them. I think one thing is sometimes we get articles that simply do not follow the structure of what research articles typically are supposed to be, or the instructions to authors from AJNR. Number two is I think really controlling for factors that you should control for in that space, potential confounders is very important. Get a biostatistician to help you with the biostatistical component, just to make sure that you are, crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's in terms of methodology and in terms of statistical analysis. I think those are very important components. And I think just have fun with it. Do things that you're enjoying, write articles about things that you're interested in. That really shines through the articles a lot of times. If you're an expert in that area, if you're passionate about it, if you're working really hard in that space, you're going to be successful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Let's talk about your career as a neuroradiologist. So how long have you been in practice, and what has been the best thing so far about your career as a radiologist?
Yeah, so I started as a neuroradiologist in 2012, as a faculty neuroradiologist, I should say, in 2012 after doing a 2-year diagnostic neuroradiology fellowship at Johns Hopkins. Um, and so I've been doing this for about 14 years. And throughout my career, it's been a bit of a meandering approach. When I first started, my goal was to be an educator, and I think that's what I was really passionate about, teaching. And I won a number of teaching awards through that process. But I evolved into a researcher, and focused on a lot of investigation within neurovascular disease, especially with vessel wall imaging, and a number of other spaces, stroke and so on and so forth. Um, and then through that, I pivoted towards leadership roles, and that's progressed during my career from, small roles to larger roles to vice chair roles, and eventually now to becoming a chair of a radiology department. So it's been quite a journey. What I would say to people is, uh, don't be don't be afraid of change. Take on opportunities when things present themselves. Really have an open mind in terms of taking things on, because you don't know where it's going to lead. And it can lead to somewhere very fruitful, very positive for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So, having talked about everything that you do in radiology, how do you keep mental health awareness? Your mental health, your physical health. Can you tell us something about that?
Yeah, so I try to be active. I avoid taking elevators. I try to take stairs everywhere I go. I try to run every day. Obviously, don't always succeed. Try to exercise a little bit every day. And my 4 very active kids help me stay young, take my mind off of work. When you have 4 kids jumping on you, pulling your hair, whatever, it's certainly, at that point you're thinking about things other than the things that are happening at work, and it's a nice break and reprieve for me. So certainly I appreciate that.
That's amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. So, what would you do if you had not gone into medicine? Any idea?
That's a good question. I think the real branch point for me was becoming a PhD scientist, and I think that was something that I was seriously considering. So at that point, had I decided not to do medicine, I probably would have pursued a PhD in biomedical science of some sort. I think science, I think investigation, I think discovery is really my passion, and so I think that's the direction I would have gone.
Amazing. Thank you. So, what's an average day for you? Can you tell us an average day for you as a neuroradiologist, /AGNR editor?
Sure. So nowadays I'm definitely much more administrative than I used to be. I work clinically about 20% of the time, 20 to 30% of the time. Most days, I wake up in the morning, get to work by 7 to 8, 7:30, 8 a.m., and just have meetings straight from that time to around 5 p.m. I usually have a pretty busy meeting schedule. After that, a lot of days we have recruiting dinners, or I just go home. I work on some of my research, writing papers, editing papers, submitting papers. Try to find time most evenings to review articles for AJNR, and engage in my AJNR responsibilities. But really, for the most part, daytime is dedicated to administrative responsibilities at UAB, and then evenings are dedicated to research and editor responsibilities.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mossa Basha. All right. So the last question, do you have any advice for people who like to go into radiology or even residents who are in radiology? What advice will you give to people like that?
Trainees and medical students.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I what I would say is get involved early. Try and work towards figuring out whether it's as a med student or as a resident, what specifically your passion is. Are you interested in research? Are you interested in education? Are you interested in really being an excellent clinician? Do you have administrative interests? And then once you figure that out, at an early stage, start engaging with folks, asking folks, being maybe a little bit proactive in terms of getting involved in those activities. I think two things that you can really do to get to where you want to is show interest and take initiative, and really take that initiative, be motivated, put in the blood and sweat to get things done, and then you can really build an amazing path. But I think 90% of it is just taking that initiative, doing things on your own, and really moving forward with it, and then getting things done. When you take things on and people agree to give you things, make sure you do a good job and you take it to completion. And don't be afraid of the work. Don't be afraid of the burden. You will find time and ways to get things done if you really want to get them done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mossa Basha. Do you have any favorite radiology sign?
I would say, I would probably say the Viking horn sign is something I've always found pretty interesting just because of the name. The name is cool.
Okay,
So that is basically when there's agenesis of the corpus callosum, there's kind of an upward pointed configuration of the ventricles. But with agenesis of the corpus callosum or dysgenesis, there's a lot of cool signs. There's the race car sign, which is also pretty cool, where there's parallelization of the lateral ventricles. So that's kind of a cool one.
thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Mossa Basha. I was excited.
Of course. Thank you, Maxwell. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.